What is up, my children? It is me, Nick from Budget Decks. Great to see you all again. Well, I'm not actually seeing you, but it's great for you guys to hear my voice again and for me to talk to myself alone in my room, lit by one light. So we are going to be doing today a budget Shiranui deck profile. This deck cost me $27.88. That is right, $27.88. I actually bought this deck about 2 months ago, so it could have spiked in price. It could have also gone down in price. This is a really fun deck. This is a zombie fire deck with a Japanese samurai aesthetic, which I know a lot of you weebs out there are going to be like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And I know it's very fucking exciting. It's a really great deck. It has some of the best artwork in Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion. It has a very strong extra deck, and it is also not good enough to compete in today's meta. So, without further ado, now that I've sold you on the deck, let's go into the deck profile, which we are, of course, going to start with the extra deck first, as we always do, because that's our thing. Obviously, 2 copies of Skill Saga. She is the Shiranui Link monster. She's more of a generic zombie, Link 3, 2300 attack, Link 3, 2+ zombie monsters. She protects Synchro monsters from being destroyed by battle. And it has the quick effect of targeting a banished Synchro monster and special summon it to his own. This card points to. My gripe with this card is the Link arrows, because realistically, it's really hard to get Link plays out of a pure Shiranui build like I have here. Well, relatively pure. We are running a zombie engine. Out of a pure Shiranui build, it's really hard to get zombie Synchros out consistently. We're not using Glow Up Bulb. We're not using that other version of Glow Up Bulb. So these Link arrows really nerf how powerful this card could be. That said, we do run some Link support. We do run 1 copy of Hita, the Fire Charmer. She just, she's a fire monster. She gets to search when she dies. Has pretty good attack for a Link too, and she is a waifu because there's just not enough waifus in the world. And then last but not least, we do run Doolittle Chimera, just the good generic cheap 3-cent Link 2. And we're mostly using these for the Link arrows. Now, it's important to know I don't play Master Rules for often. I play it maybe once a week in 1 game. Not even like an entire match. One of those games in a match will be Master Rules for format. So, I don't go too heavy on this side because I don't really need them. Now, I do use them every now and again, but realistically, I don't use them as often as I probably should be. This is kind of my version. I would recommend adding in a Power Code Talker. I didn't know that card existed until after I'd already bought this deck, but it is a Fire-type monster. It's Cyburst, and it has some negation, and it's a Link 3 with better arrows than that. So that is something I would add into the Link, is Power Code Talker. Anyway, sorry, I kind of went on a ramble there. But onto the Synchro cards. We do run 1 copy of the level 8 Shiranui Shogun Saga. He's really good. When he's special summoned, banish a zombie monster from your graveyard, it gains attack equal to the banished monster's original attack. And when you banish Shiranuis, I'm going to call them Shiranais. Shiranais have banish effects, like Solitaire, he special summons, Squire, she draws. Yeah, they have effects. They have some pretty cool effects. You'd think I would know them, but I don't. Then 1 copy of Sun Saga. He's basically protection. He's also 3,500 attack, 0 defense. He also has really cool artwork, but sadly he has low rarity, so that is a thing. After that, we have our level 7 Synchro, which is Squire Saga, which we run 1 copy of. Squire Saga is a hidden gem. She is spot removal, she is buffing attack, and she is... what is it? No, yeah, she's double spot removal. She can destroy spell trap, she destroys a monster, and she buffs attack. She's really good. She's also really cheap, but she is the hardest one to get out. Level 7 in this deck is not the easiest thing to get out, especially because we're using our Spectral Swords, who is our level 3 tuner, to do our recovery instead of turboing out Synchros. But, it doesn't mean you're not going to go into her. I just don't go into her often, but when I do, it's usually game over, because she is really fucking good. Then last but not least, 2 copies of Samurai, this doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing, does it? 2 copies of Shiranui. There we go. That's even, right? Oh, actually, I'll do that. There we go. 2 copies of Shiranui Samurai Saga. That looks decent. Let's fucking fix that a little bit. Oh my god, this is gonna bug me. He puts monsters in defense mode, and he does some recovery for your banished zone, which is pretty nice, but he shuffles them back into the deck, so that's kind of a pain in the ass. So those are kind of our Shiranui Synchro monsters, but we are also going to be running some generic Synchro monsters. Generic Synchro Monster Rise, we do run one copy of Red Dragon Archfiend, just because we don't have... The reason being, he's a Synchro level 8. We don't have another copy of Shogun Saga, so because of that, we are running Red Dragon Archfiend, also because his artwork seems to, is pretty fucking badass. We also do run a copy of Black Rose Dragon, and a copy of Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon. For those that don't know, this is a get out of jail free card, and it just has really great synergy with zombie decks. Every zombie in your graveyard, he gains 100 attack, and he's a Red Eyes monster. Who doesn't love a fucking Red Eyes monster? I like Red Eyes monsters. All right. And I do run XYZs because XYZs are my favorite type of extra deck summoning. One copy of Dark Rebellion, and one copy of Time Thief Redoer, who is like the ultimate troll card. I love Time Thief Redoer. His artwork is awesome. He has high attack, high defense. He is rank 4, easy to summon. And, he takes the top card from your opponent's deck every standby phase. Not just every one of your standby phases, but every standby phase. Your opponent draws a card. Hey, guess what? Now I get a card. It's fucking great. It's hilarious to see opponent's reaction. So Time Thief Redoer and Dark Rebellion is really fucking good. All right, now that we've gone over the extra deck and we're halfway done with the video, time for the main deck. Main deck. 3 copies of Shiranui Squire. Shiranui. I said I was going to say Shiranui, and I immediately fuck it up. Shiranui Squire. When she is normal summon, special summon a Spectral Sword to the field. Spectral Swords are, of course, our tuners. Oh my god, I can't get them to be straight, for the love of God. And then when she's banished, you can draw 1 card, discard a card. She's really fucking good. Then we're going to do 3 copies of Shiranui Spirit Master. Shiranui. God damn it. I'm just going to pronounce it however the fuck I want. When he is normal summon, special summon a Shiranui from the graveyard. Look, I said it right that time. And then when it's banished, target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. So he's some decent spot removal. And he, of course, does some recovery, which is really nice. Then, of course, we have the Lone Fire Blossom of the deck, which is Shiranui Solitaire. 3 copies of him. Tribute himself, special summon a zombie monster, or tribute any other Shiranui, technically. It doesn't have to be himself. When he is banished, you can special summon one of your banished Shiranui monsters. But if you have Shiranui style synthesis, you can special summon 2, which is really nice. And then last of the 3 sums of Shiranuis is going to be Shiranui Spectral Sword, the OG one. This is where the artwork starts looking really badass. I fucking love how this card looks. Fucking look at that shit. Sexy ass motherfucker. When this card is sent to the graveyard, nothing happens. But after it is sent to the graveyard, after a whole turn has been done, you can then synchro using this card and another card in your graveyard as synchro material, which is fantastic. You can synchro summon with him all the time, which is fucking awesome. He doesn't have a banish effect, but we run 3 of them because he's searchable, he's special summonable, he's really easy to get on the field, and it's really easy to go into plays. And he's super recoverable, which is fantastic. Then I do run 2 copies of Shiranui Spectral Sword Shade, the newer of the Shiranui Spectral Swords. This card is fantastic. When it is on the field, you contribute it, special summon 2 of your banished Shiranui monsters with their effects negated, but obviously you're just going to go into more synchro plays with that, which is fan-fucking-tastic. And again, this is my favorite artwork of the entire... Oh shit, I almost lost all those cards. Of the entire archetype. Look at that. Isn't that just like the best goddamn artwork you've ever seen? I know it is for me. Goddamn. God, fucking love that shit. Alright, so now we have to go on to the zombie engine. So, for those that don't know, Shiranuis are not a good archetype. They suck ass. They are really slow, they don't have a lot going on, and even with a zombie engine, like I'm about to show you, they're really slow. They're extremely bricky, and they're not good turn 1, turn 2, or turn 3. They're good turn 6, but they're not good turn 1. So we have to use the classic Uni Zombie engine so we can get cards in the graveyard like Spectral Sword, so we can get into some synchro plays. And then, of course, we have to run 3 copies of Mizuki, because Mizuki, while he does not have that Japanese aesthetic going on, he is some standard Monster Reborn effect after banishing himself from the graveyard, which is fantastic. And, of course, 2 copies, of Gozuki, because we need that Foolish Burial effect hardcore. We need monsters in the graveyard. The more monsters in the graveyard, the better. So we're trying to do that as fast as we can, as best we can. Again, like I said, trust me on this. I like running decks as pure as possible, but you need you need a basic zombie engine like that to get this deck to actually fucking work. Otherwise, you're going to have a really bad time. Shiranai's do have this, though. Shiranui style, Ghost Meets Girl, a Shiranui story. If your opponent controls a monster, you can discard a zombie, which is helpful because you can send it up to the grave. Special summon from your deck or graveyard, but you cannot special summon monsters except for zombies for the rest of the turn, and you can only activate one Ghost Meets Girl once per turn because it's really powerful. Also, fantastic artwork, just wanted to say. Really love how this card looks, and this is just super duper fast, which is fantastic. It speeds shit up. 2 copies of Shiranui style Solemnity, and I know what you're thinking, why did you choose this card? Well, because it was the cheapest of all the Shiranui style syntheses, and it was the last card I was buying, and I was at $27.50, so that's why. This card has no utility in the deck whatsoever. It really sucks. It's some of the ugliest artwork in the archetype, but you can banish 1 zombie monster from your graveyard. Normal and special summon of your zombie monsters not being negated, which is nice. Or I could target a monster you control, banish it, then select 1 zombie monster defense for your deck to your graveyard. It helps speed things. Yay! We're mostly just using it for the Shiranui style synthesis effect, which it has up here in the upper text, to use off of, what's his name? Sage's, no, not Sage, that's Blue Eyes. Solitaire's effect, there we go. So yeah, yeah, I don't like that card. 3 copies of Zombie World, just because it shuts down decks like Super Heavy Samurais, or decks that need that type bit on their card to do things, or special summon from your extra deck. It's just a really good standard, it's a good standard, like, LOL, you can't do as much as you used to. Obviously, there's better options, but, I'm not running them because Zombie World is cheap as shit. And then 2 copies of Terraforming to search out our subpar field spell. And then for Resurrection, 2 copies of Book of Life, which is, gotta live that life. 1 copy of Monster Reborn. 1 copy of One Day of Peace, which is cheap. What's that card? Upstart Goblin. It's cheap Upstart Goblin. 1 copy of Monster Gate, just for extra special summoning abilities. 1 copy of Dark Hole, because, spot removal is king. 1 copy of Foolish Burial, because it's a zombie deck. And last but not least, for the traps, 1 copy of Torrential Tribute, just because Dark Hole isn't enough. Well, everyone, that is my Shiranui deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed it. To give you an idea of, whether or not you should play this deck, because I know some people, if you're starting out in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you're like, I don't know if I should play this deck. And I know none of the ones watching this channel you're probably not new to Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially because I'm a tiny-ass channel with only, 3 subscribers. You're probably like, oh, I'm a veteran, I want to make fun of this guy making videos. And that's totally fine. But if you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh!, let me kind of just tell you, this is not a deck meant for new people. This is a pretty hard deck. There's a lot of effects going on, especially with the graveyard. You have to be remembering a lot of stuff. This is, if you like the Japanese aesthetic, good on you, but you go to 6 Samurais, go to Kurikuris, go to Super Heavy Samurais. Don't do Shiranuis because they are very difficult. They're very slow. They're not a very good deck, and it's overall, it's a really hard deck to play. This is probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10 to play. Realistically, it's really, really difficult. But if you're really advanced at this deck, if you're really good at playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, I would highly recommend you start practicing it out. Practice it in real life versus in online. Online, it does it automatically for you, and that's just not cool, in my opinion. You need to actually learn how to play your fucking cards. You can't just rely on, oh, activate this effect, oh, activate this effect, oh, activate this effect. I'm not about that, press yes.deck life, okay? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I was finally able to get this out to you. I've tried recording this so many times, and it's just failed so much in this past month. Yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any deck suggestions, feel free to leave a comment or send me an email at yugibudgetdecks@gmail.com, and I will see you guys in the next video whenever that may be. Until next time, guys, toodles!